Web development might sound like a complex and technical field. It can feel intimidating from the outside looking in. But at its core, web development is simply the art and science of building websites and web applications. Think about all the websites you visit every single day. From social media platforms and online news sites to your favorite online stores and blogs, a web developer built every single one of them. They are the architects and builders of the digital world we all inhabit. Their work is what allows us to connect, learn, shop, and be entertained on the internet. It is a creative and logical process combined into one exciting career. The field of web development is generally split into two main areas. These areas are called front-end development and back-end development. Front-end development is everything you see and interact with in your browser. This includes the layout, the colors, the fonts, and the buttons you click on. The front-end developer's job is to make sure the website looks good and is easy for people to use. On the other hand, back-end development is the part of the website you don't see. It is the engine that runs behind the scenes. This includes the server, the application logic, and the database where all the information is stored. For example, when you log into an account, the back-end is what verifies your username and password. When you buy something online, the back-end processes your payment and updates the store's inventory. Some developers choose to specialize in both front-end and back-end work. These multi-talented individuals are known as full-stack developers. They have a comprehensive understanding of the entire process of building a website, from the visual design to the server-side logic. This guide will focus primarily on the path to becoming a front-end developer. It is often the most accessible starting point for beginners. It allows you to see your progress visually and quickly, which can be very motivating as you begin your journey into the world of coding and creating for the web. To begin your journey as a web developer, you don't need a lot of expensive equipment or complicated tools. Your current computer is likely powerful enough to get started. The most important tools you will need are software-based, and many of them are completely free. The first thing you will need is a good web browser. You probably already use one like Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, or Safari. As a developer, you will use your browser not just for viewing websites, but also for testing and debugging the code you write. The next essential tool is a code editor. While you could technically write code in a simple text application like Notepad, a dedicated code editor will make your life much easier. Code editors are designed specifically for writing code. They offer features like syntax highlighting, which colors your code to make it easier to read and understand. They also provide auto-completion, which suggests code as you type, and error detection to help you find mistakes. Some popular and free code editors for beginners include Visual Studio Code, Sublime Text, and Atom. Picking one is a matter of personal preference. Beyond the software, the most crucial skills you need to develop are not technical at all. They are problem-solving and patience. Writing code is essentially about solving puzzles. You have a goal, like creating a button that does something, and you need to figure out the right lines of code to make it happen. You will encounter errors and bugs along the way. That is a normal part of the process. Having the patience to carefully read error messages, re-examine your code, and try different solutions is what separates a successful developer from someone who gives up too soon. Finally, you will need a basic understanding of how files and folders work on your computer. Web development involves creating and organizing multiple files for a single project. You will have HTML files for structure, CSS files for style, and JavaScript files for interactivity. You might also have a folder for images or other assets. Knowing how to create folders, name files properly, and link them together is a fundamental skill. It helps keep your projects organized and manageable, especially as they grow in complexity. Mastering these simple organizational habits early will save you a lot of headaches later on. The very first language you will learn in web development is HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. It is the standard language used to create the structure and content of web pages. Think of HTML as the skeleton of a website. It provides the basic framework that holds everything together. Every heading, paragraph, image, and link you see on a web page is defined by an HTML element. It is not a programming language in the traditional sense, as it doesn't have logic or algorithms. Instead, it is a markup language, which means it uses tags to describe the content. HTML works by using a system of tags. These tags are keywords surrounded by angle brackets like P for a paragraph or H1 for a main heading. Most tags come in pairs, an opening tag and a closing tag. The opening tag starts an element, and the closing tag, which includes a forward slash, ends it. For example, to create a paragraph, you would write P, this is a paragraph, /P. Everything between the opening and closing tags is the content of that element. This simple system is the building block for every single website on the internet. Learning HTML is about memorizing a set of common tags and understanding what they do. You will learn tags for creating headings of different sizes from H1 through H6 paragraphs with P, lists like UL for unordered and OL for ordered, and links with A. You will also learn how to add images with IMG and create containers to group content together with div. At first it might seem like a lot to remember, but you will quickly find that you use the same core set of tags over and over again in most of your projects. The key is to start simple and build from there. The best way to learn HTML is by doing. You can start by creating a simple file on your computer named index.html. Open this file in your code editor and your web browser at the same time. As you write HTML tags in your editor and save the file, you can refresh your browser to see the changes instantly. This immediate feedback is incredibly rewarding. You can see your creation come to life with every line of code you write. Start by building a simple page about yourself, with a heading, a few paragraphs, and maybe a picture. This first step is your entry into the world of web creation. Once you have built the skeleton of your website with HTML, the next step is to make it look good. This is where CSS comes in. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. If HTML is the skeleton, then CSS is the clothing, the skin, and the hair. It is the language you use to control the presentation, layout, and design of your web pages. With CSS, you can change colors, set fonts, add spacing, and create complex layouts. It transforms your plain black and white HTML document into a visually appealing and professional-looking website. CSS is what makes the web beautiful. CSS works by selecting HTML elements and applying style rules to them. You write these rules in a separate file, usually named style.cs. You then link this CSS file to your HTML document. Inside your CSS file, you can write a rule that says, for example, I want all H1 headings to be blue and have a specific font. The browser will then read this rule and apply that style to every H1 tag on your page. This separation of content, which is HTML, and presentation, which is CSS, is a core principle of modern web development, making your code cleaner and easier to manage. Learning CSS involves understanding selectors, properties, and values. A selector is how you target a specific HTML element you want to style. A property is the visual characteristic you want to change, like color, font size, or background color. A value is the specific setting you want to apply, such as blue 16 pixels or number sign FFFFFF, which is the code for white. For example, the rule H1 open curly brace, color blue semicolon close curly brace uses H1 as the selector, color as the property, and blue as the value. You will learn dozens of properties that let you control nearly every aspect of your page's appearance. As you get more comfortable with the basics, you will explore more advanced CSS concepts. You will learn about the box model, which is how CSS sees every HTML element as a rectangular box with content, padding, borders, and margins. You will also learn about layouts using tools like Flexbox and CSS Grid. These are modern and powerful systems that make it much easier to arrange elements on a page and create responsive designs. A responsive design is one that looks great on any device, from a large desktop monitor to a small smartphone screen. This is an essential skill for today's web developers. After you have structured your page with HTML and styled it with CSS, you may want to add interactivity. This is where JavaScript comes into play. If HTML is the skeleton and CSS is the skin, then JavaScript is the nervous system. It is a true programming language that allows you to make your websites dynamic and interactive. JavaScript can respond to user actions, like clicks and key presses. It can update content on the page without needing to reload it. It can create animations, games, and complex user interfaces. JavaScript is what makes websites feel like applications. Unlike HTML and CSS, JavaScript introduces programming concepts like variables, functions, and logic. A variable is like a container where you can store information such as a username or a score in a game. A function is a block of code that you can run over and over again to perform a specific task. And logic, using things like if and else statements, allows your code to make decisions. For example, you could write code that says, if the user clicks this button, then show a pop-up message. This is the power of JavaScript. For a beginner, the best way to start with JavaScript is to focus on its role in the browser. This is often called client-side JavaScript. Your main goal will be to learn how to manipulate the document object model, or DOM. The DOM is the browser's representation of your HTML page. JavaScript can access and change the DOM. This means you can write a script to add new HTML elements, remove existing ones, or change the CSS styles of an element in response to something the user does. This is how you create things like interactive menus, form validation, and image sliders. Getting started with JavaScript can feel like a bigger leap than learning HTML and CSS. It requires a different way of thinking. Be patient with yourself. Start with small, achievable goals. Write a simple script that changes the text of a paragraph when a button is clicked. Then try building a simple to-do list application where you can add and remove items. Don't worry about mastering everything at once. Focus on the core concepts and how they apply to making your web pages more engaging and functional. Every web developer goes through this learning curve. Reading books and watching tutorials is a great way to learn the theory of web development. You can learn about HTML tags, CSS properties, and JavaScript functions. However, you will never truly understand how to be a developer until you start building things. The most important part of your learning journey is hands-on practice. Building small projects is how you will move from knowing about code to knowing how to code. It is in the process of building that you will encounter real-world problems and learn how to solve them. This is where the real learning happens. Start with small, manageable projects. Your first project doesn't need to be the next Facebook. It can be something very simple. A great first project is to build a personal portfolio website. This project will require you to use HTML to structure the content about yourself, your skills, and your projects. You will use CSS to design the layout and make it look professional. As you learn JavaScript, you can add interactive elements like a contact form that validates user input or a gallery of your work. This single project will solidify your understanding of the three core technologies. As you build projects, you will inevitably get stuck. You will write code that doesn't work as you expect. You will encounter bugs and error messages that you don't understand. Do not get discouraged. This is a normal and essential part of the learning process for every single developer. When you get stuck, it forces you to become a detective. You have to debug your code, which means carefully examining it line by line. You will learn to use your browser's developer tools to inspect elements and see what's going wrong. Solving these problems on your own is what builds confidence and deepens your knowledge. Make a habit of consistently working on your projects. Try to code a little bit every day, even if it's just for 30 minutes. Consistency is more important than intensity. By building a variety of small projects, you will build a portfolio. Your portfolio is a collection of your work that you can show to potential employers or clients. It is tangible proof of your skills. Instead of just saying you know HTML and CSS, you can show them a beautiful website you built from scratch. Your projects are your resume. They tell the story of your growth as a developer. One of the most amazing things about learning web development today is the sheer number of high-quality resources available online, many of them for free. You do not need to enroll in an expensive university program to become a skilled developer. Your education can be self-directed, and you can learn at your own pace from the comfort of your own home. The internet is your classroom, and there are countless teachers and materials ready to help you succeed. Knowing where to find these resources is the first step toward building your personalized curriculum. A great place to start is with comprehensive, structured platforms that offer full curriculums. Websites like Free Code Camp are an incredible resource. They provide a step-by-step path from the very basics of HTML all the way to advanced topics. Their platform is interactive, meaning you read a short lesson and then write code directly in your browser to solve a challenge. This hands-on approach is very effective. Another excellent resource is the Odin Project, which provides a full-stack curriculum based on reading articles, watching videos, and most importantly, building a series of portfolio-worthy projects. As you progress, you will also want to consult documentation. Documentation is the official manual for a technology. While it can seem dense at first, learning to read it is a critical skill for a developer. The MDN Web Docs or Mozilla Developer Network is the gold standard for web development documentation. It has detailed explanations and examples for HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Whenever you are unsure about how a specific CSS property or JavaScript function works, MDN should be your first stop. It is a reliable and up-to-date source of truth. Beyond structured courses and documentation, there are countless other free resources. YouTube is filled with amazing channels dedicated to web development tutorials, from short tips to full-length project walkthroughs. Channels like Traversy Media, The Net Ninja, and Web Dev Simplified offer a wealth of knowledge. Additionally, blogs and online magazines like CSS Tricks and Smashing Magazine provide daily articles on new techniques, trends, and best practices. By combining these different types of resources, you can create a rich and well-rounded learning experience without spending a dime. Learning to code can sometimes feel like a solitary activity. You will spend many hours alone with your computer, wrestling with code and trying to solve problems. While this focus is necessary, it is incredibly important not to isolate yourself. Joining a coding community can be one of the most beneficial things you do on your journey. A community provides support, motivation, and a network of peers who understand the challenges you are facing. They are a place to ask questions, share your successes, and learn from others who are on the same path. When you get stuck on a coding problem, and you will, having a community to turn to is a game changer. While trying to solve problems on your own is important, there comes a point where a fresh pair of eyes can make all the difference. Websites like Stack Overflow are dedicated question and answer sites for programmers. You can also join forums or chat groups on platforms like Discord or Slack. In these communities, you can post your code, explain your problem, and often get helpful advice from more experienced developers. Learning how to ask a good question is a skill in itself. Coding communities are not just for getting help, they are also for giving help. As you learn and grow, you will start to see questions from beginners that you know the answer to. Taking the time to help someone else is a fantastic way to solidify your own knowledge. Explaining a concept to another person forces you to understand it on a deeper level. It also builds your reputation within the community and gives you a sense of accomplishment. Being an active and helpful member of a community is a rewarding experience for everyone involved. These communities also provide invaluable motivation. On days when you feel frustrated or suffer from imposter syndrome, seeing others share their progress can inspire you to keep going. Many communities have channels for sharing projects and celebrating wins. Participating in coding challenges like 100 Days of Code on Twitter can provide structure and accountability. You publicly commit to coding for 100 days and share your progress. This creates a supportive network that cheers you on. Finding your tribe will make the journey less lonely and much more enjoyable. The ultimate goal for many aspiring developers is to turn their new skills into a career. After months of learning, practicing, and building projects, you will eventually be ready to look for your first job or freelance client. This transition can be daunting, but it is entirely achievable with the right strategy and a persistent mindset. The work you have done building your portfolio will now become your most valuable asset. Employers are often more interested in what you can build than what certificates you have. Your projects are the proof of your abilities. Your first step in the job search is to polish your online presence. This starts with your portfolio website. Make sure it is clean, professional, and showcases your best work. For each project, include a short description of what it is, the technologies you used, and a link to view the live project and its source code on a platform like GitHub. GitHub is a website where developers store and share their code. Having an active GitHub profile is essential. You should also update your LinkedIn profile to reflect your new skills and projects. This is where many recruiters will look for candidates. When you start applying for jobs, don't be discouraged by job descriptions that list a huge number of required skills. Often, these are wish lists, and companies don't expect a candidate, especially a junior one, to know everything. Focus on applying for junior front-end developer or web developer roles. In your cover letter, don't just list your skills. Talk about your passion for learning and problem solving. Refer to specific projects in your portfolio, and explain the challenges you overcame while building them. This shows genuine engagement and a proactive attitude. Finally, consider freelance work as a way to get your foot in the door. Websites like Upwork and Fiverr allow you to bid on small projects. You can start by taking on smaller jobs like fixing CSS bugs or making small changes to a WordPress site. This will help you gain real-world experience, build your confidence, and earn your first money as a developer. Every project, big or small, is a learning opportunity and another piece to add to your portfolio. The path from learner to earner is a marathon, not a sprint. Stay persistent, keep learning, and celebrate every step forward.